Welcome to Deep Tech Podcast, episode number 11. We all kind of instinctively know that feeling, don't we? That magnetic pull of our devices, that feeling of always being on. You've probably even tried a digital detox yourself at some point. But, beyond just putting the phone down, what's really happening inside our brains, our bodies, even in our relationships when we, intentionally step back. So today, we're going a bit deeper than just unplugging. We're doing a deep dive into what a digital detox truly means. And it's not about, throwing your phone away forever. It's more about consciously reevaluating things, fostering a healthier, more deliberate relationship with all these screens. And you sent over some fantastic sources for this, everything from serious psychological studies, really compelling personal stories of people who unplugged for ages, and even some pretty groundbreaking scientific research looking right into the brain's response when you take away the tech. So our mission today is to unpack all that, the profound psychological, cognitive, physical, and yet relational benefits of stepping away from screens.
We really want to equip you with practical, actionable strategies, stuff you can actually use to build a more balanced digital life. We'll look at the why we need this, and importantly, the how to actually do it. Hopefully you'll get a clearer, maybe more nuanced understanding of this whole trend. Let's start unpacking.
Yeah, and one thing that really jumps out from the sources he sent over is just how deeply embedded smartphones have become in our lives. They're not just gadgets anymore, are they? They've really become these essential companions. They profoundly shape our routines, how we talk to people, manage money, even how we entertain ourselves. And that ubiquity, frankly, is why this whole idea of a digital detox feels so urgent for a lot of people now.
Yeah, it really is pervasive, isn't it? And if you've ever felt that, undeniable urge to check your phone, even when you know there's probably nothing new.
Yeah.
You're definitely not alone. The data is pretty startling, actually. On average, adults are using their phones for, over 4.5 hours every single day and checking them nearly 60 times. So the massive question is why?
Yeah.
Why are they so incredibly addicted? Our sources really get into this, framing them as these sophisticated, tiny reward machines.
That's exactly it. Every single notification, every like, every new message, it gives you this little hit of dopamine. Now, this isn't just about feeling, happy for a second. It's a really powerful neurochemical reward. It's basically designed to keep us coming back, creating this cycle our brains get hooked on really quickly. And crucially, this isn't an accident. The research makes it pretty clear that companies like Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, they have purposefully designed products to be as addictive as possible, often using these exact same reward pathways.
Wow. So we're essentially carrying around these expertly crafted addiction engines right in our pockets.
Pretty much. And it's fascinating, actually, how excessive smartphone use, they call it ESU, shows traits really similar to substance addiction. We're talking things like compulsivity, feeling like you have to check, clear withdrawal symptoms when you try to stop, developing tolerance, needing more screen time to get the same feeling, and actual functional impairment in daily life. What's also really telling is something called cue reactivity. Just seeing a notification can trigger intense brain activity, much like a drug craving. It really suggests that smartphone use is, as the sources say, neurochemically anchored. It's deeply embedded in our brain chemistry, looking a lot like other substance use disorders.
Okay, so given how deep this goes, what are some of the maybe surprising initial reactions people have when they first try to unplug? Is it just feeling a bit bored, or does it get more intense?
Oh, it can get surprisingly intense for some people. Many experience something called nomophobia, which is literally the fear of being detached from your mobile phone. And this isn't just like a vague worry. It can show up as actual anxiety, panic attacks, even physical symptoms like trembling or tachycardia. That's a really rapid heart rate.
Wow, actual physical symptoms. That really highlights how deep the connection runs.
It does. And beyond that psychological fear, there can be genuine physical withdrawal symptoms too, especially for people really used to those intense dopamine hits from, say, phone games or constant social media updates. The sources mention things like nausea, headaches, and even that really unsettling experience of phantom vibrating or ringing, where you instinctively reach for your phone, but it hasn't actually gone off.
Oh, yeah, I've definitely felt that phantom vibration. It's such a strange sensation. But, okay, what does the science actually say is happening in our brains during all this constant connection? And maybe more importantly, what happens when we do finally disconnect?
Right, and that brings up a really critical point. What's the cumulative effect of all this constant digital stimulation? Well, that continuous exposure to emails, social media, notifications, it creates this overwhelming sense of urgency. It leads to chronic stress, anxiety, burnout. This information overload can actually cause something called decision fatigue. You know that feeling, where you're just mentally drained and can't make even simple choices because your brain is just swamped. But the good news is our brain's amazing plasticity. While frequent digital use does create these dopamine-driven habits, the brain can adapt. It can recover when you give it a chance to disconnect.
Okay, and this is where it gets really fascinating. Your sources mentioned that groundbreaking study from Heidelberg University. It really shows this plasticity in action, right? They had young adults restrict smartphone use for just 72 hours, only 3 days.
Yeah.
And then used fMRI to see what was happening inside their brains. What do they actually find after such a short break?
The results were genuinely illuminating. Yeah, after just this brief period of abstinence, the participants showed significant neural changes, particularly in key brain regions linked to reward processing, craving, and emotional regulation. Specifically, they saw increased activation in the anterior cingulate cortex that's critical for emotional control, and also heightened activity in the nucleus accumbens.
The brain's pleasure center, right? The part heavily involved in addictive behaviors.
Exactly. So the very parts of the brain often overstimulated by phones and involved in addiction actually became more active when people weren't using their devices. It's quite a reaction to such a short break.
That seems almost paradoxical. More activity in the reward center without the reward.
Well, conversely, there was reduced activation in regions tied to executive control, things like planning and focus, plus visuospatial awareness and motor inhibition. These shifts suggest that even short breaks from smartphone use can start recalibrating the brain's reward and craving systems. And further analysis actually linked these changes to shifts in dopamine and serotonin receptor probabilities, really reinforcing that idea that smartphone usage is neurochemically anchored.
But here's the really strange part from that study, right? Despite all these significant brain changes, the participants didn't report feeling more craving or feeling worse mood-wise. How do we square that circle?
Yeah, and this is crucial for understanding the challenge. It points towards what they called a subconscious craving. It reflects these deeper, less conscious emotional and motivational processes that get triggered by smartphone abstinence. It means your brain is reacting, it is rewiring, even if you aren't consciously feeling a strong, overt urge to check your phone.
Okay, so the brain knows something's missing, even if we don't feel it strongly.
Precisely. And this has really big implications. It suggests that even periodic digital detoxes could genuinely help recalibrate those neural pathways over time, potentially reducing compulsive behaviors even if you don't immediately feel the craving disappear.
That idea of neural recalibration sounds incredibly powerful. But, for someone listening who might be a bit skeptical, thinking, can a 3-day break really make a lasting difference? What about the long-term picture? Does it require ongoing effort?
Oh, absolutely. Think of it like planting a seed. A 3-day break isn't going to magically fix everything overnight, but it demonstrates the brain's capacity for rapid change. It shows that recovery is possible. The long-term implication is that consistent strategic disconnection, making it a practice, can lead to sustained improvements. You're gradually retuning your brain for a less dopamine-driven existence. It provides kind of blueprint for what's achievable.
That makes sense. It's proof of concept almost. So how do these internal neurological shifts translate into the more tangible mental and cognitive benefits that people actually experience when they unplug in their everyday lives?
Well, the first and probably most immediate benefit people report is a very real reduction in stress and anxiety. When you disconnect, your brain genuinely gets a chance to relax. And that directly helps in lowering cortisol levels, fostering a real sense of peace. Taking back control of your digital habits helps reclaim that vital mental space. It significantly reduces the burden of constant information overload. It's not just about feeling less stressed momentarily, it's about fundamentally reshaping your brain's stress response over time.
Right. And alongside that feeling of peace, there's often a noticeable improvement in focus and concentration. Those digital distractions, the constant pings and notifications, they absolutely fragment attention. They make deep, sustained work incredibly difficult. So reducing screen time demonstrably improves cognitive abilities. It leads to better focus, better efficiency, which is, particularly beneficial for students, professionals, and creatives, and anyone who relies on sustained attention. The sources really emphasize practicing single tasking instead of trying to multitask. You actually get higher quality output that way.
Absolutely. And another huge benefit, better sleep quality. We know that blue light from screens directly disrupts melatonin production. That's the hormone that tells your body it's time to sleep. So it makes it significantly harder to fall asleep and get truly restful sleep. By unplugging, especially in the evening, you enhance your sleep. You allow your body's natural sleep cycle to regulate itself much more effectively. Establishing a nighttime routine without digital devices That's really key for getting restorative sleep.
And it seems to go even deeper into our sort of emotional landscape, too.
Yeah.
Social media especially often promotes these unrealistic comparisons, right?
Right.
Leading to feelings of inadequacy, low self-esteem.
Definitely. A detox helps break that cycle. It fosters a healthier self-image because you're shifting your attention away from that fleeting digital validation towards more real-world fulfillment. It boosts emotional resilience. It genuinely can reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression, promoting a greater sense of calm and balance in your life.
That makes sense. And what about mindfulness? It feels like being constantly distracted pulls us away from the present moment.
Exactly. A less obvious, maybe, but equally profound benefit is that increase in mindfulness and self-awareness. Unplugging naturally encourages present moment awareness. It allows you to engage fully in real-life experiences. You start fostering a deeper appreciation for your immediate surroundings. Without those constant digital distractions, you become more aware of your own thoughts, your emotions, your goals, and things like journaling or meditation, which the sources recommend, can really enhance that inner connection even further.
Yeah, and as someone who really values creative thinking, the idea of boosted creativity is particularly appealing. It feels like constant digital noise leaves very little mental space for, genuinely original thought.
That's a common finding. Disconnecting provides that crucial mental space for imagination and innovation. Many people report that stepping away leads directly to fresh ideas and renewed inspiration. It often encourages them to engage in offline creative activities, again, things like painting, playing music, writing, whatever it might be.
And all of this better focus, less distraction, maybe more creativity, ties directly into a very tangible benefit: improved productivity.
Absolutely. Trying to multitask between different digital platforms, it just tanks your efficiency. A digital detox, by cutting down those interruptions, encourages single tasking. And that leads straight to higher productivity and better time management. Without constant notifications pulling you away, completing tasks just becomes faster and more effective. One personal account you shared noted a 70% drop in distractions during their detox. I mean, think about that number.
Wow, a 70% drop. Imagine what you could actually accomplish with that kind of focused time. Okay, so beyond our individual well-being, our productivity, or creativity, a digital detox also seems to have these really profound impacts on our relationships and even just our appreciation for life itself.
Indeed. Strengthening interpersonal relationships is a huge one. Excessive screen time really does interfere with meaningful social interaction. The sources point out something really interesting. The mere presence of a phone on the table can diminish closeness and the quality of conversation. But when you remove them, it creates these invaluable opportunities for deeper connections with family and friends. Through genuine face-to-face conversations, it improves communication skills, strengthens emotional bonds. It really is about being fully present for the people who matter.
It's about truly being there with people, isn't it? Not just physically present, but mentally present too. And it seems to extend beyond just human relationships to, like, a deeper connection with reality itself.
Yes, exactly. Too much digital time can create this subtle but quite pervasive disconnect from real-life experiences. A detox encourages you to re-engage with your actual surroundings. It fosters a deeper connection with nature, your immediate environment, just everyday experiences. It genuinely allows you to experience life more fully and meaningfully, to appreciate the beauty of the world around you that you might just scroll past otherwise.
That's a lovely thought. And what about patience? It feels like the digital world trains us for instant everything.
That's another interesting effect, that re-engagement can help cultivate increased patience and tolerance. The digital age absolutely conditions us for instant gratification. A detox helps reintroduce delayed gratification through activities that actually require time and persistence. Things like, reading a challenging book, learning a new skill, maybe cooking an elaborate meal from scratch. That practice builds greater emotional resilience in a world that's constantly demanding immediate responses from us.
And I can see how that might lead to a stronger sense of purpose, too. Just scrolling endlessly can feel quite passive, can't it?
It can. Excessive digital consumption often leads to that kind of passive state. A detox provides this invaluable opportunity to step back and reevaluate personal goals, interests, and priorities. It helps people rediscover what truly matters to them beyond the screen. And that renewed clarity of purpose often leads to significantly higher life satisfaction.
That makes a lot of sense, getting back in touch with what drives you.
And finally, there's just this renewed appreciation for life's simplicity. Technology, ironically, can really complicate life sometimes with the sheer overload of choices and demands and notifications. A digital detox simplifies daily living. It allows you to enjoy those small, meaningful moments that might otherwise be completely overlooked in the digital noise. It fosters gratitude, contentment, a deeper sense of presence in the here and now, ultimately leading to a more balanced and hopefully fulfilling lifestyle.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the why we might need this, and the really profound what happens when we actually disconnect. Now let's get practical. Let's talk about the how. And it seems critical to understand, first off, that a digital detox isn't necessarily about, like, chucking your phone in a river. It's fundamentally about a shift in mindset. It's about eliminating the expectation that you will be instantly available to everyone at all times. It's really about taking ownership of the way that you allow the world to communicate with you, leading to what the sources nicely call curated access.
Exactly. And to achieve that curated access, setting clear goals and boundaries is absolutely essential. You need to decide which devices or apps you want to limit, and then establish clear rules for using them. Set specific measurable goals, things like maybe no social media after 7 p.m., or setting aside an hour of tech-free time each morning. Define those tech-free periods during your day or week.
Right. Make it concrete. And it's so crucial, isn't it, to find alternative activities. To fill that time you've freed up, you're essentially replacing one habit with another, so you want to make it a good one. The sources suggest engaging in hobbies may be something you've always wanted to try, like reading more, painting, gardening, or getting more active hiking, yoga, joining a sports team, learn an instrument, pick up a new language, join a club. And crucially, don't forget to prioritize those social activities, actually getting out with friends or family. Those are key for building the real-world connections we were just talking about.
Yeah, having something to do is vital. Practicing mindfulness is another really important step. Incorporating techniques like meditation or just simple deep breathing exercises or even journaling. These things help you become more aware of your thoughts and feelings, and that increased self-awareness helps you identify and then resist that compulsive urge to check your devices. It strengthens your resolve.
And you don't have to go it alone, right? Staying accountable seems pretty key for making this stick long-term.
Absolutely. Share your goals with trusted friends or family. Let them know what you're trying to do. Or you could even join online or in-person groups focused on digital detoxing. There are communities out there. Regularly checking in with your support system helps keep you on track, and it's important to celebrate those small victories along the way, too.
Definitely. Now, what if someone listening isn't quite ready for, like, a full month-long detox? Are there smaller, more gradual steps they can take?
Oh, absolutely. And these can be incredibly effective. First, just turn off non-essential notifications. Use the Do Not Disturb function liberally. Remove those constant interruptions. Second, physically keep your phone in a different location when you need to focus or when you're spending quality time with someone. That out of sight, out of mind principle really does work. Third, consider temporarily deleting or just hiding distracting apps, maybe social media or games during work hours or specific periods you want to protect. Fourth, use your phone's own tools. Most have built-in screen time features now. Use them to monitor your usage and set actual time limits, especially for those apps that tend to suck you in. And finally, and this is a big one for sleep, establish a strict rule about phone use before bed. Don't use your phone before going to bed. Put it away at least an hour, maybe even 2, before sleep. Make sure your pre-bedtime routine is genuinely free of blue light.
Those are all really practical tips. And this whole idea of curated access can actually be taken to quite a surprising extreme. There was that fascinating personal account you shared from Demir Bentley. He did this 3-month experiment living without a real phone that rings. His setup was quite ingenious, wasn't it? He downgraded to an old iPhone, but only used it in Wi-Fi-only mode. He got a Google Voice number, so voicemails and texts just went straight to his email. He used Facebook Messenger for anything genuinely urgent. And he had a portable Wi-Fi hotspot as a backup if needed.
It's a fascinating case study, and the outcome. He basically said, no one has noticed I don't have a real phone that rings. He even found that calls he made using Skype often sounded much clearer than regular phone calls. It's just an incredible real-world example of someone taking complete intentional control over how they allow the world to communicate with them, rather than being constantly at its beck and call.
It really does perfectly underline the core message from this whole deep dive, doesn't it? A digital detox, as the sources really emphasize, it's more than just a temporary break. It's truly an opportunity to fundamentally reset, recharge, and regain control over how technology impacts your day-to-day life.
Yep.
It's really about making sure these powerful digital tools serve you rather than distract you.
Precisely. It's about shifting that balance of power back to yourself.
So whether you're thinking about a full 30-day detox or just implementing some of those small strategic daily changes like turning off notifications or having tech-free meal times, this deep dive really shows it's an accessible path toward greater well-being. In a world that is constantly, relentlessly pulling us toward being connected, maybe the most revolutionary act of self-care isn't about getting more technology or the latest tech. Maybe it's about learning the art of strategic disconnection so that we can actually truly thrive. So the final thought for you listening is, what's one small step you could take this week? Just one thing to reclaim a little bit more of your mental space.